Hello creatives, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be illustrating Virgo in Lavender. So we'll start with the face by utilizing the shape tool. We're going to use the sphere and create the shape face for the base. And we're going to Control C, Control V the face to make the nose and minimize the shape of that by constraining, clicking, and dragging in while pressing Shift on the bounding box. We will use the oval shape and create the chin. Moving back to the face, we will just move around those points with the direct selection tool and go on to the nose, moving the points of the shape. I added a highlight by duplicating that nose shape and then moving on to make the shape smaller, and decided to utilize the shape to shape blend option under object and messing with the settings of that. Moving on to the hair, I utilized the same shape tool. I'm making a whole bunch of spheres, putting them together, and utilizing the shape builder tool. And I am going to moving those points over and over again to make it look more believable and flowy and wavy. So moving from there, I'm going to create the neck, again, the same shape tool, and moving the points around to make it look. It kind of looks like a bean, so I guess you can make it into the more of a bean shape. For the shadow of the neck, we will be using the Control C, Control V to duplicate the neck. Then make that color the darker shadow color and duplicate the shape again to shape blend those together so that it creates a soft shadow that we will place on the top of the neck. Next, let's work on the background because I don't like looking at white all the time, so I made that the beautiful lavender color I had chosen in my swatches panel. I choose all my colors ahead of time. And let's move back to the hair because it's looking very flat. Let's go ahead and apply my favorite gradient, the freeform gradient, and I chose a bunch of colors from the swatches panel. So I'm placing those in there wherever I deem necessary for the shadows and the highlight to come from. From there, I'm going to create a face shadow using the same process we did for the neck, just to take the shape builder tool and minus away everything. And let's move on and create those little gems for the hair that hold the hair up. I just used a basic sphere tool, added a gradient, and then added some shadow to that too, utilizing the shape builder tool to create that little sliver half moon type of shape. From there, I put the freeform gradient on the background using some lavender and some baby blue and some sapphire color because Virgo's birthstone is sapphire. And then from there, I decided to use that same shape tool to make the rest of the hair, and I made a long oval, and I chose an effect from the top tools panel at the very tip top, and under effect, I chose roughen from distort and transform, and I just played with the settings and applied that freeform gradient to that rest of the hair. Next, the hair seems to be okay, but it could use some texture. I decided to utilize the brush tool, choosing a standard brush tool, and I'm messing with the settings of it so that way it looks less brush stroke and more like wisps of hair strands. I am just creating those strands using the brush tool and just drawing on the artboard and fixing those points in the white direct selection tool, as you can see. I'm using the colors very carefully so that it blends into the hair because you kind of want to see it and you kind of don't. It should just blend in all together. So I'm making sure that I have the placements right, making sure that it looks kind of believable for hair strands until I'm pretty happy with all of the placements and all that stuff. I'm mostly duplicating the same brush over and over. And if you want the shape to work as a shape instead of a line to make it easier to click on, you just go up to Object and Expand, and it will expand that object out for you. Next, let's move on to the background. Again, there's going to be quite a few stars that I want to put on here. So there is a star shape tool that we will use, and you just click and drag and it creates the size of the star that you want. So I just pasted that all over the background along with some little tiny spheres as well, just to make it look more celestial. And next, let's move on and create a really pretty hair accessory out of the word Virgo. I chose one of my favorite fonts, and that is Lucida Handwriting Italic for her little Virgo hair accessory. And then let's move on to the constellation. This is made up of just a whole bunch of little circles and applying a outer glow and inner glow effect. again under that Effect tab at the top toolbar, and then choose Stylize, Outer Glow, Stylize, Inner Glow. Moving on to the eyes, we're going to make a sphere, color that, a base color. Duplicate using Control C, Control V, minimizing the circle and placing that in the center to make the iris. Details for the eyes, so I made a really skinny oval. Using the Rotate tool and pressing Alt, messing with the settings in the Rotate Options pop-up menu, and then duplicating that at 30 degrees while pressing Control D to replicate around a circle. Next, let's add a gradient to the eyes. I decided to choose a radial gradient. I chose the dark green and the lighter green colors. I then created the highlight of the eye by duplicating the iris and making it white. And I moved on to the eyelids utilizing that same shape tool, and I created an oval, modified it with the selection tool, added a gradient between my light lavender and my light pink, and then I did the same process for the other eye and then created the eyeshadow. I used more of a lighter gradient, and then I applied a Gaussian blur effect. All you gotta do is go up to Effect, to Blur, and choose Gaussian blur. It makes this really nice soft, kind of blended out look. And I duplicated the top of the eyelid for the bottom of the eye, then did the shadow for that using the same Gaussian blur effect. Do that same process and duplicate it for the opposite eye, and go ahead and adjust the top eyelid so that the eyelid and the bottom lid connect. Reposition the eyeshadow, that way it is all believable and it looks all connected together. Next, we will create a circle from that sphere shape tool, make it white, and that will be the eyeball. Duplicate that shape for the other eye, and let's move on to make the eyeshadow a little bit more pretty by adding a linear gradient. The linear gradient, I'm choosing that dark mauvey purple to the lightest purple I have to make it look like it shimmers and shines. It gives it more dimension for the eyes. And I'm going to create a liner for the eyes because she looks very basic right now. So I'm going to duplicate the eyelid and make it smaller with that white direct selection tool. And then I will create some eyelashes by duplicating that liner that we created and duplicating that shape, rotating it 90 degrees, and then shrinking it down, constraining the proportions. I will be duplicating those eyelashes over and over and over. Top tip, make sure that you group the eyelashes together. Trying to choose every single individual one is going to drive you nuts. Now let's add a shadow to the inner eye. Just duplicate the white eyeball and pull that bottom endpoint up with the white direct selection tool. Set the opacity from the properties panel to about, I think I chose 60%. You can choose the best one for you, and make sure that the fill color is a gray. Go ahead and duplicate the lashes and liner from the one eye over to the other eye. Also make sure you reflect the shape by going to Object and Transform Reflect, or you can use your keyboard shortcut. I also wanted to go and give her a highlight on her cheek, utilizing the same shape tool, the oval, and choosing the lightest purple that I have and the lightest pink that I have, utilizing the freeform gradient for that. I followed the same process for the lips, only making sure that I use the white direct selection tool to modify the points to put it into the shape of the lips themselves. I added a shadow for the Cupid's bow right under the nose, resized the nose a little bit using the white direct selection tool. Then I realized she doesn't have eyebrows, so let's create some eyebrows from the eyeliner shape that we used before and whiten them a little bit and make them the dark brown color. Don't forget to duplicate for the opposite eye, and let's move on to the symbol of Virgo. It's in the shape of an M. I used the Lucida handwriting font and used the pen tool to add the little extra portion for the Virgo symbol, and I pathfinded them together using Unite and made sure that I turned it into a little barrette by utilizing the sphere tool again and I created a inner glow and outer glow effect for that, like we have done before. Moving back to the face, I just did a little bit of adjusting for the hair. I decided to put some more shadows because her face is looking kind of flat. So I utilized the same shapes that we've been using, applied a shape-to-shape blend to that, adjusted the constellation so you can see it more, and added more freeform gradient points to the background, the sapphire, which is Virgo's birthstone, a dark purple, and a baby blue. Moving back to the face, let's adjust the shadows by utilizing the white direct selection tool and just moving points around until it looks how we want it. I added another little cheek highlight because the light source is coming from the upper left, and made sure I shape blended that out as well. And that is Virgo. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this, go ahead and click like and subscribe, and I will see you soon, creatives.